Hello, and welcome to what is becoming my favorite time of the week. Another episode of your favorite pickleball show, Pickle Juice. It's your boy Zook, and I'm happy to be here for another night of talking about the most beautiful sport, the fastest growing sport that is pickleball. We've had a ton of great guests on. This is episode 5, but this episode, for the first time, hopefully not the last time, we are inviting somebody on that's coming off a gold medal this weekend, a champion, someone that went against the odds this weekend out in the APP Tour Philadelphia tournament and went through the doubles tournament blazing fire, didn't stop. Him and his partner DJ end up taking the gold. If you watched the tournament this weekend, you know who I'm talking about. It is my new good friend Mario Barrientos. How are you doing, Super Mario?
Hey, all good, all good. Hanging in there, hanging
Was
in
that a
there.
good
All good.
Was that a good intro? I called you the champ. I got into about how you won this
Heck
weekend.
yeah,
Was that a good selling point for you?
heck yeah, yeah. Perfect, perfect. Could have been better. Yeah, yeah.
So,
You're
so the
good.
first thing I want to say is we had this scheduled before you even won. So for other
Oh,
players that are maybe out there and I reach out to and they want to come on the stream, just know that this was planned
lucky
before.
charm.
Mario agreed to come on the show, and legitimately, the tournament before he came on, he ended up winning. Do you think that's just a coincidence, or do you think there's something about the
No,
pickle juice good luck charm, Mario?
yeah. There's definitely something in there. Yeah, it's like you believed in me before anybody else. It was definitely an extra motivation, and yeah, yeah. It was lucky charm. Must have been. Yeah, that's the only thing that comes to my mind right now.
I appreciate that. We'll dive much deeper into this weekend because this weekend was incredible. But I want to talk about this weekend. I want to talk about 5 years ago. I want to talk about 10 years ago. I was talking to you a little bit behind the scenes earlier today about some of the things that we had in common and some of the things that we can
Oh
kind of
yeah.
talk about. So let's start at the very beginning with you, my good friend. Not from the States, not from America. You found your way to
No.
Utah, but started in Santiago, Chile. Tell me a little bit about
Yeah.
growing up there, and then I can get into my connection to that great place.
Yeah, originally from the city, the big city of Santiago, Chile, all the way south, the end of the world. So far away from here, 9 hours straight flight. So it's really far. Different culture, different everything. The city is actually pretty big, 6 million people. But I grew up like in the suburbs, so kind of outside the main city. Um, my family just like a regular middle class family, middle low class family, So yeah, it was great. It was great childhood. Uh, Different to what people are expecting to hear here in United States, obviously.
Yeah.
So anybody that has kind of a little international experience knows that the life is different outside of the U.S. But yeah, that's where I started. 2016 is when I moved to US, kind of pursuing education. That was
Yeah.
my. Most people say, "Oh, you came because of a tennis scholarship." I'm
Nope.
like, heck no, no,
Because of my
no,
brain.
yeah,
No,
no. So yeah, no, I just came just because I had really good chances of getting here and getting like a better education that I would in Chile. So. Scholarships came along because of just my brain, not tennis. Yeah,
so a little story into the quote unquote American dream, you being able to come over and kind of use your brains, what ultimately turned into pickleball. But let's even talk about before you cross the boundaries because and the borders, because we'll get into your time in America and what you've done with
all right,
pickleball. But
all right.
Santiago, Chile is one of my favorite places in the world. I am not someone who travels too much outside of
Okay.
going between New York and Florida. So when I was a junior in college about 5, 6 years ago, for one of my business classes, on spring break you have to go to one of three places and you get to choose, and that whole semester in college you learn about an industry,
Wow.
and then you get to go to that place over spring break, obviously do some business studies during the day and then
Yeah.
party at night, and we'll get into that because the
Yeah.
Chilean club scene is crazy. But um it was between, I forget what one place won, but the other one was Lisbon. Oh, okay, it was Vietnam, it was Lisbon,
Okay.
Portugal, and it was Santiago, Chile. I'm not gonna lie to you, my
Wow.
first choice was Lisbon, Portugal, but they
Yeah.
ranked it by GPA, and my GPA was so
Oh,
low that I got sent to my second place, which was Santiago, Chile. But
that's
thank God
good.
I
Good.
did.
Still good.
And let me ask you about this, because the industry that we studied, and this is a boring topic, so it could just kind of be a yes or
Yeah.
no for you. The industry that we studied was like the paper making industry, and we went to a factory where they would take down trees and like turn it into paper and toilet paper and stuff like that. So that's what we were kind of doing over the 5 or 6 days we were there. But then at night,
Okay.
my
Yeah.
God, the club scene was just, oh
It's
my
crazy.
God,
It's crazy.
crazy. Do you ever miss nights like that back in the home country?
Yeah. I mean, it's just especially where I'm at. Utah. Santiago has more people than the whole state.
Yeah.
So it is maybe yeah the party obviously, but what I miss the most is like the big city. Like
Yeah.
everything that a big city comes with. Parties. Restaurant things to do, just people around. Public transportation, traffic jams. All that. It's just like a culture of things. Like a package.
You
And
know you love
then
a you know you never love a place if you're saying that you miss the traffic jams, right?
yeah, it's different. Yeah, you grew up with them, so kind of you're used to it. Here it's like, I mean, when I go to LA, okay, yeah, it's a different thing. It's like I feel more at home. It's like lots of people and things like that. But yeah, I mean, actually, what you're saying, like that industry, like the paper making industry and stuff. Yeah, it's actually like a big topic there because of the government, taking um like kind of restricted areas, of a place and cutting down all the trees and stuff. That's another story. That's
You
another
didn't
that's
it didn't
another
it, it didn't interest you enough to stay at home, but what you wanted to decide to come to America to study, which is I guess the next topic that we'll talk about, and we also have in common. You got your master's in accounting, correct?
Yeah, well, I'm working on it. So what
Okay,
happened is
still.
when I came I studied account. I mean, I graduated and then I worked and then I finished the bachelor's and now actually that's one of the reasons why I'm here in Utah because there's this like BYU, the university, and it's like
Yeah.
really highly ranked in accounting. So that's why I'm finishing up the master's there.
Why so? I asked that more as a, where does pickleball now fit in to that business side, because you just won a championship, right? Like you can now
Yeah.
say you're one of the greatest pickleball players, doubles pickleball players, whatever you want to say, but you still think there's a need to get your masters of accounting. What is that, conversation you're having internally with yourself in terms of Mario's future?
Yeah, well, that's a good one. So, lots of people ask me, well, why don't you just dedicate yourself to pickleball? Why don't you quit school? School requires a lot of time, a lot of energy, and mental toughness, to stay there, and especially in accounting now. Um, so, as of right now, being 100% honest, um, pickleball is just like a side thing for me. You
Okay.
know, I never really committed to it 100%. One, because I'm an international person here in US, so I don't have the same kind of condition as a citizen, so that makes it harder, But despite of that, even if I were to be, I always thought that education was like kind of the first thing and my main goal since I started here, and I'm just been following that goal, and I know maybe in the future, when I graduate, maybe I start spending more time doing pickleball. Uh, but as of the moment, as of right now, if you were to ask me, well, what's your priority? First of all, my family, and then to provide for them is my career in accounting, and then pickleball, you know. And that's like when I talk to sponsors and people like that, I'm like 100% realistic with them. I'm like, hey, yeah, I play pickleball, but when I'm school, it's like I do it on the side. I mean, it's not like my first priority in life right now.
That that's awesome. There's a lot of things I want to say to that. What that's awesome for so many ways. I respect how I can see when you're talking about it, like legitimately you'll do whatever you need to do to provide for your family. And right now you think that's with school. And I I never think it's a bad idea to get another degree. So I think at, like I think it's only a benefit what you're doing, and it's also awesome on the other side where you're saying you're focused more time on school. But I just watched you kick ass all over people in Philadelphia this weekend, which again contributes to my thesis and my hypothesis that anybody can play this game, right? Like maybe in the future when
Yeah.
this it continues to grow, people will need to be full time in order. Maybe in 12 months at the APP Philly, people that win it at that point will be full time. But right now, this game is for anyone, and that's
Oh yeah.
exciting. Is there any benchmark though that you've set in the pickleball world now that you've won and you know you can win? Is there anything that could happen that would alter your plans that make your priority school and accounting that would change it to the sport of pickleball?
As of right now, being like 100% honest, no.
Okay.
As of right now, like this very moment in time, no. My priorities will still be the same. After I graduate, maybe. That's when I start thinking about. Now, I also work for Deloitte. You know Deloitte, right?
I uh
So
I worked for Ernst and Young. So we have a
okay,
little bit of a
okay,
rivalry
yeah,
going on, but I have a few buddies that work at Deloitte in New York City, but yeah, great
yeah.
company.
So yeah. So those are like huge companies, and you can have a bright future with them. So maybe when I graduate, I'll start looking at things from different perspectives. But as of right now, I've been well, people that come from different countries, we have like a different perspective about things, about life, because we've been through a lot to get here, like a lot of hard work and stuff. And I don't want to brag about it, but it's a different story, and it's just because of how I think about it. Like I told you, my priority still is my education, family. Maybe in the future it will change, but as of right now, like there's no benchmark that can make me switch paths. As of right now.
Okay.
Now coming back to what you said about uh, winning and stuff, and anybody can play. First of all, two things. So the first one is kudos to DJ, to DJ Young, uh, and people tell me, hey, like you won, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm 100% realistic always, And DJ it's a great, amazing player, and people tell me, hey, like you did it, and I'm like, yeah, but he kind of did most of it, I mean, kind of, I mean, he was like, and I told him, when I play with him, I'm like, hey, DJ, I'm like 100% uh, honest, and you have like really good shots that I can't make, so it better you take him, Uh, so yeah, that's in that sense, I mean, he's an amazing player and he kind of pushes to the goal, and then in the other side, like you said, anybody can play. It's just great that I'm always trying to stay humble, in this sense, is that yeah, I mean, anybody. Like I don't have any paddle experience. I never played tennis, never touched a racket, in my whole life. Ping pong I played, like because there were like a table, but never competitively or anything. Uh, but yeah, I mean, anybody can play. It's just gotta get to it, and I just was lucky that I got good fast. After 2.5 years. So
Sometimes that's
um,
all it takes, right? If you pick something up and you
yeah,
become good at it, you're gonna have a general inclination to continue with it. You grew up playing soccer, I guess?
yeah. So just as a general like comment for everybody that's watching that's not been to like a third world country, how they call it. You
Is
always
it's not to cut is
what?
is Chile considered a third world country?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Is it
yeah.
real?
It is.
Okay, okay, go
All
on.
South
Okay,
America is considered. I
okay.
mean, the
That's me
economy
being naive.
might be the economy might be better than other South American countries, but it's still. So
Okay.
what happens is in those kind of countries, you only play sports where you don't need equipment. Because if you need a piece of equipment to play, then you don't have the money enough money to buy it. See, so we never play tennis. We never play badminton. We never play ping pong because we didn't have a table or paddles. So why you play soccer? You just need a ball You don't even need a court to play. You can play in the street. And then in while I was in high school, I obviously played like basketball. I played rugby, like but all contact sports. When you don't need when there is
Just
no like the tennis etiquette, that you need to be nice. It's all contact sports. And that's what I did. But while growing up, I was always good at all those sports, but I never had time to commit to any of them because, like, while I was in high school, I had to work, like to help family and stuff. So I never could commit to any sport. Now, when I got here and I started to US and I had enough time, to kind of play, drill, practice, that's when I realized and I was like, well, I'm kind of good. I mean, I think I could get better, so that's kind of the
no,
story.
yeah. Like I said before, it's kind of that thing that you had that eureka moment where you just picked up the paddle, something you hadn't played your whole life because of the reasons that you said growing up in the country that you did, that you were just pretty good at it, had an inclination for sports growing up. Other sports, was there one in particular that you think contributed more to you being able to pick up the paddle and just be good at the sport?
I don't think so. I always think about volleyball because I also play volleyball, and I was like, well, like I just realized that like jumping and stuff, like hitting overheads. I mean, volleyball kind of gave me kind of the strokes or something. I don't know, but besides that, I mean, I don't know because people like I go play with people and they're like, oh, I hand coordination, grip style, Like, I don't know, I don't know anything about grip styles. I just grab the paddle and play. And I'm
So
like,
natural.
yeah.
We'll go with natural God-given ability and we'll leave it at that. Um when you I can I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I'll ask the question and I can kind of hear it when you're talking about DJ. Um you know, you kind of say it where it's just the hobby right now and you're focused on the other aspect of business world. When it comes to pickleball and you're in some of these great doubles matches, do you feel out of place even with that? Are you just comfortable with where you stand? If like you said yourself, DJ is doing most of the work and you're up against two people that are a similar level as him, like how do you feel in those moments when you're on the court with those three others?
Well, like I said, I mean, like I told you, yeah, I do take it. I mean, it's not like my 100% priority, like like lots of other pros. But I'm really like when I start doing something, I'm like I have a lot of determination. So the little moment I have to play, and drill, I take it pretty serious. So when I get to play in those matches, I am pretty serious, maybe as serious as all the other players. Um, people tell me, well, what could happen if you actually go 100% in, and I'm like, well, maybe I don't know, maybe it would be really different. Maybe I could improve a lot, maybe I don't know. But
But
the
how do
thing
you
is,
feel when you go into up against? How do you feel when Mario walks into a court where you obviously know the players and you know who's in it 100% and 100% in and just doing pickleball? Do you feel just as confident walking in against
yeah,
those people as you would anyone else?
yeah, I feel I've worked on developing that confidence, like especially in pickleball. I think if your mind is not in a good place, you just gotta kind of fight against your demons, and kind
Yeah.
of stay positive or stay neutral, in your emotions. And I always try to do that, feel confident, feel like we're gonna win.
Yeah.
People tell me, yeah, like to win, you gotta act or you gotta feel like you're the best player in the court. And I'm like, well, maybe DJ is, maybe not me, but it's in my team. He's in my team, so we're good.
You
You
either
know.
got to feel like you're the best or you got to feel like the guy next to you on your side of the court is the best, right? That's all that
Yeah,
matters.
yeah, and it's funny because it's like I have like some weird motions, that I do or different strokes, because like I didn't play tennis, so I don't have like the basics down. I just kind of just played. Nobody ever taught me, how to move, how to do the leg work and stuff. Uh, yeah, so it's fun because when we get together with DJ or other players, it's kind of funny because they say, "Yeah, you did this, you did that," and it's different, and it's funny, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, nothing I can do about it. it's just part of the progress. It's
Hey,
just
if you're unique, you stick out, and then more people will remember you. And then you'll see in a few years when pickleball continues to grow the way it is, you'll have so many little kids that are fans of Mario hitting the ball with the paddle the same way you are. So you're unique for now, but trust me, once you gain the following that I know you're gonna get, more and more people will be playing the way you play. But we're we're kind of yin and yang in the fact of I consider you a professional pickleball player who's chasing. Now you want to get your master's of accounting and go that way. I have my master's in accounting, and you can see, I'm in my office right now.
yeah.
I do full accounting, chasing my dream of pickleball. So we're kind of, going opposite directions. But
Yeah.
um, what what do you where do they fit together in terms of do you see one helping your life with the other and vice versa? Like, is there anything that you've gained from pickleball in terms of confidence, like you just said? Like, did you get that from pickleball and can you bring that to business, or do you get that from your accounting world and are you bringing that to pickleball? Like, tell me about how you're able to use things you learn because they're so different, but use them to help you in the other one.
Well, I think actually this kind of funny because we were last week. I mean, after the tournament, we went to dinner, with DJ and Federico, him, and Pablo Telles, and they were making fun of me because because I told them like that I tried to be like a rock, mentally when I'm playing, Uh, so I try not to show my emotions. I just try to stay steady, and kind of focus. And they were making fun of me because of that. So, but I think that comes from the business side. From all the nights of study, and test and really hard tests, and even from doing accounting work. I do audit. So you have to
Oh,
have a certain
oh,
degree
I'm
of
so sorry.
yeah. You have
I
to have
did
like
audit for 2 years.
yeah, yeah. So you need like a mental toughness, to kind of do this kind of stuff because it's like important stuff. It's not you make a mistake and that might cost millions, of dollars for your company. So I think that transferred to Pickleball in that sense. And from the other side, I think Pickleball, what I've learned is that really you have to be like a nice partner. That's what I've learned. And because when I started, the thing is nobody wanted to play with me, because I was obviously bad. And when I played, I looked awkward, even more awkward than now. So people were like, no, 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 we don't want to play with you. Now, like, I go play with anybody. Like I show to drop in, at the local courts, and I just play. And I learned that from Pickleball, that you just have to be nice, with other people, that especially the ones that are starting, and because when I started, when I would see like Tyler Loom, playing, or Chuck Taylor, guys that are like the pioneers here in Utah, I was looking at them, I mean, watching them, and I was like, wow, these guys are good, these guys are great, I would love to play with them, and now when I'm now that I've had more experience playing, I just go and I just try to be nice in that sense, just show up, play, help people, and kind of transfer that confidence that basically anybody, if they put the time, they can actually be really good at the sport.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that. I agree with that. And do you see a way that even if, you were to graduate and you still think the focus would be business, you like the track that you're on with Deloitte, you want to continue on with that, is there always going to be a spot for pickleball, you believe, even if it's to just help you on the business side that there may be benefits of?
um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I understood really really good your question. Can you repeat
Okay,
it?
let me, yeah, I'm bad at asking questions, so
Yeah.
let me rephrase it. Like, with the way that pickleball is going, you see the growth of it. You see there's like money coming into it now,
Yeah.
business people, not just players, that sense of it. Even if you were to decide after you graduated, like, hey, I still think I'm not fully committed to pickleball. I still want to continue on my accounting track. Do you still see, even as Mario, the senior partner at Deloitte, like a benefit of, being out there on the pickleball scene with the way that the pickleball world is kind of growing?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely, yeah. So I think, yeah, I mean, Pickleball has given me, a lot of opportunities, especially getting to know great people here, in especially in Utah, and all over now that I've been traveling more, in this year. So that's been great, and just even as you said, even if I were to decide, just to stick to business, and just play pickleball recreational, I would still do it. Pickleball is great, and it has given me a lot of blessings, in my life, for my family and for me personally. So yeah, I mean, I'll continue to do it. Now, um, as you were mentioning, how I think about it, as an accountant is, you know, um, my decision to stay in the business side and Pickleball kind of on the side, it's because of just how money accountants make. That's how I think about it. Like an accountant. And I'm like, well, 3 5 years, working for one of these big firms, maybe you make more than 90% of all the Pickleball players. But that's most likely, and maybe 100% will change, in the
Yeah.
following years. So that's how I'm like thinking about it in the future, and kind of the opportunity cost of doing things. I mean, that's like a business
You're
term,
such an
but
accountant, Mario.
yeah,
You're such a numbers guy and accountant. Now I
yeah,
know. Now I know
yeah.
why you're staying
So
this
that so
way.
that's so that's how I think about it. So maybe the
It's
priorities
fair.
will change in the future, where business will be on the side now. Uh, but as of right now, how things are develop, how things are going, I'm kind of good in the position where I'm at right now.
An interesting conversation that you said you had to have was because of how you're divvying up your time was with sponsors and kind of let them know in terms of, hey, you know my skill, you know how good I am. I'm going to continue to go to these tournaments. Obviously, when I play, like you said, you're always trying to win, you're always serious, but business school and getting my master's will always come first. That's a great conversation. It's a very interesting conversation, but let's talk about some of those companies that you actually had those conversations with and the ones that followed through and are now sponsoring you. I like to bring
Yeah,
them up. I like to allow players to give them shout outs. We can start with one of your favorites, I'd assume.
yeah. Who'd have? Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. What do you want to know about him? Or you
How
already
all
researched
right,
him?
tell me how you know what I'm interested in? How does a professional pickleball player even get sponsored? Like, how does a conversation start from you having nothing to do with Hudef from now you playing with their paddles and being one of their poster boys? Tell me from like the start to how that contract gets signed.
Well, then let me take you even
Take me
further
back,
back.
brother. Take me
Yeah.
back.
So how it all started is, here in Utah. The pickleball community is huge. So what how it all started is that I just started winning a couple 4.5 tournaments and 5.0 tournaments, and I talked to Tyler Loon one time. And I asked him, and I was like, "Hey, Tyler, I'm just trying to kind of get a sponsorship, and I was like, I don't want any money or anything, but I just like the paddles, and that conversation went through. I remember one time, and then all of a sudden, I just won a Vulcan giveaway, So I started using the Vulcan paddle, and then I talked to Tyler again, and he was nice enough to kind of tell me, hey, you know what? I'll just start, kind of. I'll talk to Vulcan, and we'll see if we can sponsor you, you know. So that's how it all started, After I started winning these tournaments, kind of getting more people started to get to know me, because I was in the local tournaments, which there are a lot here in Utah. And he was like nice enough to help me with that. Um, and then that's how I started, getting gear and paddles and stuff like that. But with this company, how it almost like everything in life, it was just the connections, I just because I'm Hispanic, obviously, I got to know some Hispanic players, um, from other states, and one of them was like an ambassador and a sponsor player for this brand, and he connected me to the owners, which are Korean. They're Korean. This is a Korean brand, and that's how it went. I talked to them, and they looked me up on the rankings, and that's how it started, basically, with that connection that I made with. with this guy.
Was getting sponsored like a eureka moment for you? I know we keep talking about the fact that right now the business is still the main focus and you don't have any benchmarks in terms of changing that
Yeah.
in the near future. But I gotta think that getting sponsored, you're a cost opportunity cost guy, had to at least get some gears moving in your brain, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially with this company, that I went from just having gear, from one company and like paddles, to actually having somebody helping me go to the tournaments, and
Wow.
kind of helping me with helping me to go there, and giving me more gear and paddles and stuff like that, like more benefits. And that was great. That's when I actually realized, that I could make, an impact in the sport. And that's basic. That was a moment in my life when I realized, and I was like, well, now that I have this company behind me, supporting me, I gotta get serious about it.
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of started, putting more work into it, and kind of deciding, okay, if I'll go to all the tournaments, if I go all the way to Florida, I don't want to go all two. I better, I better wait. I mean, at
Yeah.
least, at least a couple. So yeah, it was a big impact in my pickleball career, in that sense, that now I had like the support and the motivation to win, because I had this brand behind me.
Were you ever using their stuff before they came and tried to sponsor you, or did the conversation happen before you were using their paddles?
Yeah, I never used any other paddles
Okay.
before. Yeah, so I
Okay. And
was I was using this other brand, and when they sponsored me, they just sent me the paddles. I started using them.
you like them, of course.
Yeah, yeah, I like
They're the
them.
best,
I
right?
like
They're the
them.
best paddles
They're
out
the best.
there.
They're the best ever.
No, it's a great company. Hudef, obviously one of the top names if you think about pickleball companies in this space now. Um, and you have a lot to do with that. Is there any other companies right now that have a piece of Mr. Barrientos, or is it just Hudef right now?
As of right now, it's just Hudef, but I do have friends here, and I'm actually part of a club that's called Kings Court, Utah. It's a big club here, the biggest one actually here in Utah, the biggest league in Utah. They have hundreds of players, and I'm part of that. I kind of represent the Kings Court, Utah community. Um, I actually use their shoes, in a couple tournaments, and it's just great. It's like I like him, and the kind of the person that's managing it is my friend. So I really like to kind of support him, and represent, obviously, Utah.
And let's bring them up. You said that was Kings Court, Utah.
Kings Court, Utah. Yeah,
Kings Court, Utah. Always good to shout people out.
yeah,
Is this
yeah,
them on Insta?
yeah, yeah. So
Follow them. Check this
they're
out.
really, yeah, they're always like posting pictures about other players, and it's uh, and it's just really nice how they promote the sport, especially here in Utah.
Yeah, the site's under construction, but you can see one of these great communities that are popping up, all over the country
Yeah,
that has a stamp of approval from one of the great pros. So if you're in this area, which is the pickleball capital of the world, that a lot of people tend to be from now. We had Tyler Loong on
yeah,
episode 3, so last week, and we have more people, and I'm getting their numbers. I got your cell phone number. I have his cell phone. All these area codes are Utah. I'm like, what the hell?
yeah,
Am I gonna have to move out to Utah if I want to start making pickleball content? But no,
yeah,
this like I said, if anyone here watching now or the tons of people that are watching the recording of this, check out King's Court, and if you go there at the right time, maybe even get to challenge Mario to a little match out there and take on a pro. Let's travel to kind of one of the highlights of what has happened now since you become a pro, and kind of the whole story of your pickleball career now being summed up in this weekend, which was a gold medal in the
yeah,
APP Philadelphia. This is this is the bracket, and we'll go through this, but even before this tournament, was there anything leading up to this tournament, this APP Philadelphia challenge, that made you think that you were going to have the ability to go through this bracket and walk away with the gold?
Well, I think since I started playing with DJ, which was at the beginning of the year, I think um, I realized, obviously, I knew, like DJ was really good. And I just realized that if I play with him, kind of the racing star, I would have really high chances of winning. So I talked to him and I was like, hey, I'm willing to do my part, to take my right side, and you take the other side and we're going to be good. So we actually had the first ever PPA we played, we took fifth, that was in Arizona. And it was a PPA. So we had like really good, tough teams, against, we played against. Um, and
Was it
then
here? Was
the
it in
other,
February?
I think so.
Pro.
Um,
Yep, right here.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so we had really good wins, and that's when I realized, and I was like, well, we actually had good chances, and of winning, big tournaments, if we both are committed, and especially if I'm doing my part, taking my side of the court and just kind of taking my portion and doing my best, right there. So then after that, we actually had a really close one too, where we got to the final and we didn't play it, and that was in Cincinnati, I think, in APP Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Yep, I got it
So
here.
we got to the final and it got rained out. So we couldn't play against Sane. I think it was Sane and Andre.
Why'd they put you in the silver though?
Oh, because we already played against them and we lost on the winners bracket final.
Were you angry about this? That they
No, I
gave you a
mean it
silver?
was no, I was okay with it. I mean, we talked
Like, did
about
you
it and we
actually
were.
get a silver medal? Like, this is legit. Like, you won the silver in this tournament. It's not just for this site. They actually gave them the
Oh no,
gold because
no,
they beat you earlier.
no. I mean, it wasn't just because they beat us before, but it was like, hey guys, we can play tomorrow, like
Oh,
5
okay.
a.m. in the morning, you know. And I think Andre and DJ had to leave that night. So we were like, hey, guys, you are. It was like a four-way deal. We were like, hey, you know what? We you already beat us on the gold medal. I mean, on the winners bracket final. You're coming undefeated to this point. Let's make an arrangement. And that's what we did. And
Mario, you needed to challenge Zayn one on one. Even if DJ and Andre had to leave, you should have been like, Zayn, I'm showing up at
singles.
5 a.m. on this court, singles for the
Yeah.
gold. Um, have you played them since this?
No, no, I haven't. I haven't.
Ah,
So
that
it's
would be
pending.
fun.
It's
That
pending.
would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
um,
it's it is pending.
so a lot. So yeah, you just showed us basically the evolution of what led to this tournament. Now let's go through, what happened in Philadelphia. We don't have to take too much
Yeah.
time in the earlier ones. You went 11-10, 11-3 in your first match. Then against Klinger and Yadro, you did drop the second game, and then you had a win
Yeah.
by two in the third. What were the conversations between you and DJ in this game?
Um. Well, we were actually winning that match. Maybe I don't remember. Maybe 6-2 or 6-3 or something. We had like a good lead. It's just for some reason. It was like I think a combination that we just kind of fell asleep and they started hitting everything. So they actually had a couple of match points. And
Oh
um,
wow,
yeah, so they got. I think they got to 10 before us.
wow.
After our lead. So we had the lead. They came back. They had a match point, and then we came back. So yeah, maybe a little lack of how do you say it? Like
Focus.
mental toughness,
Yeah.
focus. Yeah, something happened there, but we pulled it off. So whew,
That's all that
we
matters.
got it.
Yeah, you just gotta
Yeah,
get to so
yeah,
and then without talking, I'm never talking smack about other players, but just my general understanding of the game. It seems to be the next one was like, okay, now we're playing Federico and John C, which is kind of a huge, huge,
yeah.
huge step up. And I think this might have been the match that they were streaming. I'm pretty sure I saw this match.
No,
It was it. I think I watched John C against someone else and not you
no, no. I
guys.
think yeah, no. I think it was Johnson Cole and Federico against Pablo and
Yes,
Brandon.
here, yeah. I watched John C in singles because they were showing a lot of John C
Yeah,
in singles, but not him in doubles. But okay, so similar story. You guys kind of handle business in the first set.
yeah,
12-10 in the second set. Did they get to match point first in the second, or did you get
yeah.
to 10
It
first?
was it was actually kind of like 8-2 or something. They were winning by a lot, and then we catch up all the way to 10-10, and then I think in the first side out they won. So
Wow.
they won the yeah.
Okay, so
So
you felt good after that
lack of
one.
focus. Oh yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so you felt good after that one, and then you get Lika and Daescu, which we talked about before. Andre was the one with Zayn, right, that had to leave.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah. So
sure
we had
you like to.
unfinished business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure. And then interesting. Do you Is there anything to them getting there because through a retirement the match before? Like, how much does this being your fourth or fifth game of the day actually weigh on your legs and like your physique? Is it a huge advantage that they got the
yeah,
game before off?
yeah, yeah. It is.
Okay.
There's two things like two sides of the coin. You know, one of them is that they're kind of they haven't like spent all their energy. You know, so they're like kind of fresh in that sense. And the other side is that they're waiting maybe for an hour, you know, or more to play with us. You know, so that those are kind of the two sides. But definitely kind of being having more energy, you know, because you have played less matches, you know, that makes a difference.
And again, you guys like to jump, you like to take the first one, lose the second
Yeah.
one, make it extremely interesting in the third one. This was a fantastic match. This was one of the better matches that you'll see in pickleball for how good the match is, what round it was, who was on the court, um, what was playing in that 15-13 third set like for you?
It was tough, you know, because especially because we were down, I think
You
most of the
were.
game, you know, and we just kind of come back at the very end, you know. It was tough in the sense that for me, you know, pickleball players still learning, you know, and still adapting and kind of applying new things to the game. I miss, you know, obviously like everybody, you know, but when you miss, when you're like 12-12, you know, it's like a big deal, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's when you
it's
start sweating.
yeah, and that's when DJ starts like you know. So you know, so in the sense, maybe I'm doing the same thing, you know, but in my head, you know, I'm like just like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm keeping it cool, you know, but obviously I'm like, you know,
You
how
got that
can I miss a
accountant's
drop?
focus, right? You got the
Yeah,
accountant's focus, that
yeah,
rock that you said you were bringing over
yeah,
from
the
them.
rock, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So this gets you into the finals where when we go to the losers bracket, you knew that you were going to play either the people that you just beat or Tellez and Long.
Yeah.
Was there any discussion between you and DJ as to which opponent you would rather, just game planning for either, or no conversation at all? Didn't matter who you saw on the other side?
No, there wasn't a conversation. I did talk to other people, and they were asking me, "Well, who would you play?" You know, and I mean, I was like, "Well, we barely pulled it off, you know, against Eden and Andre, you know, so that would be tough." And then Pablo and Brendan were coming in hot all the way from the losers bracket, so I'm like, "Well, either way, you know, it's gonna be tough," you know.
Do you think it's harder to play against someone you've already beat or playing someone fresh? Like I know you said either way, but if you had to choose one, regardless of who it is and take talent out of it so we're not comparing
Yeah.
players, would you rather play someone you already beat earlier or a new opponent you didn't see the entire tournament?
I think it all has to do with how much you know the player, you know.
Okay. So
If
it
you
does
if
matter
you
on who it is.
Yeah, yeah. If you know a player and you know what they're gonna do, which you may gain because you already played them on that tournament, maybe it's gonna be easy because you already got the formula, right? Uh, but if you know one of the other guys, you know that you haven't played yet, and you know you can beat them, you're confident. You know, confidence plays a big role, you know, in how you play. So
Yeah,
I
it's
think
an
kind of
interesting thought. It's
Kind of just
it
getting to know the player, makes you feel more confident about beating them or not. Obviously you're trying to beat everybody to
yeah.
win, but personally you might think, okay, I have an maybe an advantage over this player because of this and that, and that makes a big difference in the game.
Yeah, I'm thinking about myself personally, and it's like a double-edged sword. One, you play someone you already beat, you already beat them. So there's legitimately
Yeah,
that 100% confidence that there's no, oh, I think I could beat them. We literally just beat
yeah,
them.
you can do
The
it
other
again.
side of it is I know if I'm that team, there's nobody I want to play more than the team that beat me. So if I'm the team that beat them, I know that how badly they want to
Yeah,
come and get me because I know if it was reverse. So it's almost that I'm not too sure that I agree with you. It probably depends on the specificity of the situation. If you beat someone that is really
yeah,
good and they're playing someone that you can probably tell is a lot worse and you know a lot better, obviously you probably want to play that new team. But if you beat a team that you know you just beat those guys all the time and no matter what,
yeah,
you just have their number, you definitely want to see them as often as you can.
yeah. And also by this point in the tournament, it's been like 8 hours or something or nine. So you also take into consideration, like you think, okay, how tired are these guys? How tired are these Romanians? Like, or how tired, or how tired is Pablo? That they come all the way from the losers bracket, and they play maybe 2 or 3 matches more than what we have. Just like all of that comes into consideration. But in that moment, for me, I was like, either way, it's gonna be as tough. I think.
And those Romanians don't get tired, right? That's the
Oh,
frustrating part
they're
about them. They just run around like crazy. It was wild watching them play. The one thing to highlight before we wrap up is you dropped the first game in the championship, which was a little
oh
bit
yeah.
of a different theme than um getting the one. And at least when you dropped it, the second one, you knew it was still 1-1. What was the thought process and the conversations between you and DJ when that 6-11 first set occurred?
Well, what happened is exactly what we were talking before. We didn't play this team before, so they kind of caught us by surprise. We came in with a strategy, and obviously it didn't work. You know, so by when that first game ended, we were like kind of 100%. We knew, and we were like, "Hey, DJ, okay, we're gonna do this instead. We're gonna do that," and it worked. So it's like that's one of the disadvantages of playing a team that you never played in the tournament is that you don't know, what's going to work and what's not going to work. And the first one, obviously, the strategy, as I said, didn't work. And then from then, we kind of figure it out. We think. I mean, we play the right strategy.
Let me ask you about the mentality of a professional athlete when you make that switch without being cocky or confident. Do you and DJ ever look at each other during that second when you're kind of cruising or even in that third after you make that switch and realize, okay, the decision that we made, like, we got this now?
Yeah, yeah, it happens. It happens. It's like a chess game almost. In every single match, you're kind of trying to figure out what's going to work and what not. And it's like when you found it, it's like a golden nugget. You're like, okay, like we talk, between me and DJ, we're like, okay, we're gonna do this, or he tells me, hey, let's return it here, or let's play this, or let's think here, let's drop it here, whatever it is that's gonna make us win, we realize it and we just go for it.
And it ended up getting you the gold at the APP, which one, congratulations. What an
Thank you.
incredible run through the whole thing. And two, what was like the relieved, excited, didn't know what to think? Oh my gosh, who are you gonna call? Who are you gonna tell? Like you win a gold at a professional sporting event, like what's going through your mind right away?
Well, the phone started like
There
blowing
you
up.
go.
My wife, was crazy. Watching, she gets more nervous than I do.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like, yeah. Sometimes she has to stop it because it's too much. And she's pregnant too, so the nerves are
Oh
like,
wow, congratulations.
yeah. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind when I do something like that is just be thankful. For my family, that for my wife, especially, that's always supporting me. I talked to DJ after and was like, "Hey, thank you for giving me the opportunity, to play with you." And well, I'm from Chile, so I'm like straightforward, realistic, and I'm like, "Hey, DJ, thank you." Like I know most of the top 15 or top 10 players wouldn't play, with somebody that's like 30 or something. And you gave me the chance, and I'm happy that you gave it to me, and I was realistic and I told them, thank you. And then just being thankful, to all the pickleball community, the great pickleball community that I have here in Santiago, Chile.
I think uh did I lose your mic? I might have Are you back now? Say something. Ah, there you go. Can you hear me? You can maybe put it back on. I can't. Oh, well, should I talk to myself for a little bit? He'll be back in a minute. We were gonna wrap up anyway. Um, I think he was thanking the great pickleball community, and I felt that in the chat this week. All weekend, I was watching these people, and it's fun. The way the tournaments work is the tournament we went over, the doubles, kind of went the whole week. It goes one day. Like every double, singles, mixed double, it's all one day. So this whole tournament happened over the course of 8 hours, and you're just watching along with the whole chat, and it's fantastic. And you fall in love with people throughout that single 24 hours, which is just incredible. Um, but no, I was gonna sign off with him. I was gonna ask him where you can find him, where to check him out. He said he wasn't gonna be in Chicago, which is this weekend, so the defending champ won't be there to defend his throne. I'll link up with him. I'll ask him where he's next gonna play. We'll definitely share that. Let you all know where you can watch Mario. I think he is
Hello?
back there. Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I'm back. I'm
Okay,
back.
I pretended I was you for a little bit, and I just carried on with what you were saying. But okay, so you
Yeah,
said you were grateful, you went to DJ, you went to your family, and then you started saying you were thanking the pickleball community at
yeah,
large.
yeah. The Utah pickleball community is great. So everybody's so happy, that I won, and I was just thankful to them too, because everybody's so nice here and they help you, get better. So
It's a
that's
beautiful
it.
thing. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
thing, and you see that even though I'm not on the playing side, I'm more on like the building the content side. You just see everyone though wants other people to be successful in this
yeah,
economy, not in this economy, in this environment, no matter what you're doing to push it forward because it is so new and it is so growing. And everyone that's here is genuinely here for no other reason than we actually love to play the game of
yeah,
pickleball, which is
yeah,
sometimes you don't find that in other spaces. People have ulterior motives or there's other reasons why people want to get involved. We're at a spot now where like everyone here is legit here because they love it and it's their favorite
yeah,
game and they play it all the time and it's something that they love, whether they love it the most, second most, third most versus other things, they still love it. And that's the great thing about it. And you said we weren't going to get the great chance to watch you in Chicago this weekend, but before we sign off, where can people next see you defend your throne and defend your titles as we go into the upcoming fall season?
Well, I'll. It's not the very next tournament, but I'll play with DJ again in Sacramento, like another APP. That's like in the mid September or at the end of September. I'm not sure. So hopefully we do good there, and we can get another gold. That's the mission. But the next one is I'll play with the great Dave Weinbach. The
Ah, the
legend,
Badger.
the Badger. Yeah, I'll play
The
with the legend.
Badger.
Yeah, so I'll play with him. We're friends, and so I'll play with him in the PPA Cincinnati. I think next week actually.
Okay. So
So
you're That's cool. That's cool. The
yeah,
Badger's a
so
good
that's
guy.
yeah. His yeah, we have a. It's fun playing with him, and he always teaches me stuff. So I'm excited to do that, and yeah, that's the next one. And after that, the one in Sacramento with DJ again.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I'm looking at the Sacramento one now. That's Thursday, September 22nd for all you that want to watch. Like Mario said, he'll be playing even before that in Cincinnati with Dave the Badger. Um, I usually sign off with saying, um, giving some homework about the next time that I want to have you on. I think
Yeah,
what I want to do with you is I've been in contact with the Badger and we've talked about him having you on. Um, let's have you guys on together in a few weeks to talk
All
about
right.
playing doubles and doing a stream where I absolutely love the partner dynamic. You kind of got into it a little bit when you guys were dropping sets with and then DJ starts going
Yeah.
you start screaming. I love getting into that partner dynamic. So let's do that. In a few weeks, I'll leave you alone for a little bit. I'll let you collect some more trophies. You bother
All right.
me if you have any accounting
Yeah.
questions as I've been through the rigor. Are you going for your CPA?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you passed it? Have you gotten it?
No, no, not yet.
Have you
No.
passed any parts?
No, no, I haven't started taking the exams yet.
Oh my god, dude, that was the worst 2 years of my life.
Yeah.
When you get to that point in your life, we'll start having some other conversations about
Yeah.
what I found studying for that, and I'll help you get through that. But no, Mario, this was honestly, thank you for having a great conversation with me. I had a lot of fun, learned a lot about you. I think the people that got to watch this, like I said, there's going to be a lot of kids in a few years that you think it's a wonky,
Hopefully.
unique way of playing the game. A lot of people are going to be swinging their racket like that. Hopefully, swinging hoot F rackets, right?
Hopefully. Yeah, Hudev is on the rise. It's mostly on the East Coast, But every time you see some pickleball in Asia, guess what? They have Hudev,
Well, if guys
it's
like you
coming.
keep winning championships and get more time on the live streams, more and more people
Yeah,
are going to be buying their stuff. So you're making yourself more valuable with these gold
that's
medals, right,
right.
Mr.
That's
Barrientos?
right.
When you do that
Thank you. Yeah,
opportunity cost, correct?
yeah, opportunity cost. Yeah, it's all about it. Yeah,
Well, thank you, my friend. This was, like I said, a fantastic conversation. Flew by. I could have talked to you probably for another hour or two, but we'll stop
no,
now so we could do it again soon. The next time we'll have our great friend, the Badger, on. But
the
take
Badger,
it easy,
the
brother.
Badger.
Have a great week. Have a great weekend. I'll be watching you in Cincinnati. I'll be watching you in Sacramento. If you're on a live stream and I get the chance to watch you, I'll be shooting you some texts
Thank
if
you.
you win
Yeah.
or lose, either telling you good job or telling you what you need to do to improve in your next game.
All right. Perfect. Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it,
Thanks,
and
brother.
thanks
Have a
for the
great night.
opportunity. You too,
Peace.
guys. Bye bye.